Our next guest is now waiting and ready. Dr. Anthony Fauci waiting in the new territory, acting like a paid pundit after criticizing Republican senators on the Sunday shows. These senators are the same ones who have questioned his role in leading our country throughout the COVID-19 pandemic for the last 20 months. And the fact that Dr. Fauci might have perjured himself on Capitol Hill not once, but twice. Joining us now for more is Tennessee Senator and member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Marsha Blackburn. So nice to see you again. Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you.
I want to play you the soundbite from Dr. Fauci on Sunday. This soundbite will not go away. Take a listen, then we'll get some reaction.
Senator Cruz told the Attorney General you should be prosecuted.
Yeah. I have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted. What happened on January 6th, Senator? All I want to do is save people's lives. They're really criticizing science because I represent science. That's dangerous. To me, that's more dangerous than the slings and the arrows that get thrown at me.
Senator, he seems like a paid pundit when giving those remarks. Sort of a sinister, almost his little laugh there, very condescending to U.S. senators, your colleagues, who have just questioned his ability to lead us at 81 years old through this pandemic. What did you make of those comments?
This is the same thing he has been saying for months. Some months ago, when I questioned his judgment, he made the comment that when I criticized him, I was criticizing science. Well, newsflash to Dr. Anthony Fauci, he is not science. And what he has done over the course of the pandemic is to turn himself into a politician and a pundit, thinking he can belittle people who are not medical and healthcare professionals. And the American people have looked at him, they've watched him, they have formed an opinion of him, they have found him to be untruthful, and they don't consider his advice to be something that they should be following, because he's been all over this, mask, not mask.
Well, he's been wrong. He's just been flatly wrong. And questioning science, just at the very root of this, that is our job, to question science. Yes. If you look back at history, somebody like Galileo, he's revered now, but in his time, he was a heretic, proposing that the Earth was round and not flat. But it was our job and people like Galileo's job to question that and ask those tough questions. How dare Dr. Fauci say something like that on national TV? And by the way, no pushback from the anchor that was conducting the interview.
Well, what he does, he feels he's entitled to do that. He is the highest paid federal employee. He has been in his position much too long. He has continued to play a game of CYA through this entire thing because he knows the agency he has led has invested U.S. taxpayer money into gain-of-function research. And now he doesn't want people to be aware of that.
Right.
It is time for him to leave his job. It is time for him to move on. What we need to do is get to the bottom of how this COVID-19, how this started. What are the origins of this particular strain of coronavirus? Because this is going to be with us. And it is something that we're going to have to handle, learn how to manage, and unfortunately live with, like we do the flu and the common cold.
He's 81 years old. Just retire. Retire to Florida. Florida right now, as of this morning, the lowest case rate and the lowest death rate in America. Perfect spot to be if you're trying to not get COVID-19. Okay, Senator, you had a tweet that you put out a day ago talking about this this new variant that we're dealing with. What's funny is the left is in a total panic about a variant. We don't have one positive case of this variant in the U.S., but you said it's always been the Xi variant. Explain that.
Oh, well, when you look at the Greek alphabet and you see how they are working through this with the Delta, and then what they chose to do is to skip something that would appear to be a tie to President Xi Jinping.
Right.
And they did not want to embarrass him. So skip the chi in the Greek alphabet and move on to Omicron. And I found it very curious that they were trying not to offend the Chinese Communist Party, which, Rob, as you know, this has been their goal all along. Don't blame the Communist Chinese for this.
Have you changed your stance on the Olympics, by the way, Senator? Do you think we should still go there and celebrate in Beijing in 2 months?
No, I don't. I think that we should keep our athletes home.
I'm with you. Yeah, they skipped 2 letters in the Greek alphabet, the nu and then the G, because they thought, apparently, according to the WHO, people would be confused that this is some sort of new virus. People know what we're dealing with here when it comes to COVID-19. We've had more than 1,000 variants. I want to talk to you about the border and sort of some of the hypocrisy down there. We'll get the November numbers on illegal crossings very soon. Today's the last day of November. But there are still no vaccine requirements and no testing requirements for people crossing illegally. We've had 1.7 million illegal crossings that we know about so far under Joe Biden. What do you make of that?
It is just astounding that Joe Biden wants people to get fired and lose their job for not taking a shot. And then you have all of these people streaming across the border who are not tested. They are put on planes. They are flown around the country. And when you're coming out of McAllen, Texas, you may have been out working with the Border Patrol at night, and then the next morning, there are people on your flight out of McAllen that you saw the Border Patrol apprehended. This is how quickly they are processing people and moving them around the country. It is why every state's a border state, every town's a border town, and it's also why you continue to see this spread of COVID-19.
Senator Marsha Blackburn, appreciate the work you're doing up on the Hill. Thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.